I'm back and I'm ready to talk about these Yu Yu Hakusho characters. We have 18 new characters entering the game, and the entire Yu Yu Hakusho Dark Tournament has now been revealed, including the 35 standard reprints that are coming into the game. So I have all of their characters down here in alphabetical order, and I have 6 different tiers. That's going to make for a clean 3 characters in each tier. We have the meta tier. These are characters that I expect to continuously win events. When Undaunted Raid first came out, it was just a slam dunk that Overhaul and Mirio were going into the meta tier. And I think we have some characters in Yu Yu Hakusho that are very similar, where it's like, there is no way these characters are not winning events. Then we have the strong tier, characters that I suspect will easily top several events. And then the good, fun, and fine tier, there's not really a big difference between these. It's kind of just take your pick. These are very much come down to just my opinion, but they're characters that I don't suspect will be always running the game in the meta. And then we just have the Na tier. These are characters that just don't speak to me, and they don't seem very good, and they don't really speak to me. So let's just kick it straight off with Botan to the Na tier. 6-hander with 25 health. Twice per turn, she can gain 2 health and cause you to lose 1. She's always making her rival discard a card and draw a card. She's interesting. I'm glad she was reprinted. I don't see any way in which this character is strong. You have to have some really, really good abilities to make it as a 25 health 6-hander in this game. And I don't think that Botan is near the abilities of, for example, what's the asset character Mimic? Mimic is a character that more than pays off only having 25 health, but Botan's just not it for me. Bowie, 5 hand size, 36 health. I'm going to put him in the fine tier. I actually think he's really good in sealed and draft. So if you're playing him for your local dark tournament, I think you could do a really good job by picking him, because that form commit for like +1/+1 for every single face down that you have, that can be huge in a format like sealed. But in standard play, I think your rival is going to be prepared to play against that. He gets to like build an extra foundation each turn cycle. He's interesting, but I don't think in standard that he's really going to be making waves on the competitive scene. Then we have Byakko, another 5-hander, 38 health. I think that's the highest health total we've seen in the game up until this point. And he is going to rocket all the way up here to the strong tier. I almost switched him with another character to become meta, but then at the last second kind of decided to keep him strong. He got a lot of his kit reprinted, and it's very good. You have Tiger Scream. Tiger Scream was banned in retro for a time. Then it came back and it was errated to be a Byakko only enhance, and they have reprinted that card now. It's going to be quite crazy. You have like that Thunderous Roar Foundation that he can commit to give his attack like +1 speed for each of your face downs. So he can throw out like a 20 for 20 Tiger Scream. If he has 30 cards in his discard pile, he can put the Tiger Scream on top of his deck and draw it. He's always going to be flipping your foundations. We really haven't seen a strategy like this take off yet, but I think Byakko's the character to do it. Every single attack, he's going to force you to block something. 38 health is a lot of health to chew through, and eventually he can find that opening and find the game win. I think he's going to be strong tier. We're going to see him a lot. Chu is another character in the Na. A 5-hander, he can play out his whole hand and then basically draw back up to 5 on his rival's turn. So he draws cards, but nothing about this character is doing it for me. And the art on him bothers me, that this arm is bigger than this arm. His like waist doesn't really line. I don't know. Nothing about this character speaks to me personally. Elder Toguro is going to go to the good tier, almost put him in the fun tier. I know I have some teammates that think he is going to be meta or strong. I don't really see it. Listen, I'm a Hawks player. I understand the value of a swap. And here, Elder gets an unlimited swap. On defense, he is going to have to destroy one of his foundations. And then he gets to play something from his discard. But he has to discard a non-foundation, right? So he can discard like an action or a asset to go play something. He's interesting. That's why I almost put him down to the fun tier. But the value of a switch for Hawks is made even better because he's giving +1 or -1 speed to everything. Toguro is doing nothing with stats. And for that reason, it's hard for me to see Toguro being strong or meta. Yeah, good tier seems fine. Good players are going to be playing this character, and they're going to be doing all right with him. Genkai is also going to go to the good tier. 6-hander, 27 health, gets to give plus X or minus X damage based on discarding a card, and then if an attack deals, based on the block modifier, if an attack deals damage, then Genkai gets to look at the top, reveal the top card of the deck. If it's an attack, pull it into their hand. That's interesting, like destined for mainstream success on face. Seems very, very good, but it's a little too random for me, a little too inconsistent. We do have a lot of like 4 block modifiers, and we even have that one 5 block modifier that you can discard, and then it says when it enters the discard pile, draw a card, which is very interesting. Like, I think Genkai will be quite good. I just don't think that they're going to be strong or meta. The good tier just feels about right for this character. Interesting, but not quite there. Let's go to Hiei. Hiei, I was very excited about when he first came out, but now I'm just in the fine tier. I was very excited for him, and then I immediately started deck building, and I spent like 30 minutes trying to build a strong competitive deck for this guy, and I realized I don't think he's it. He's interesting. He could be there. If they had leaned into the desperation mechanic, he could have been really good. They're bringing back desperation in the reprints, but they're not bringing back desperation in this set. I'm going to be honest, that bothers me a little bit. I could kind of rant about the reprints and that they decided to reprint things like Safe and Desperation and No Blocks, and just so that people can use their old cards. I would have preferred them just to update the cards to the new version. Like, if Desperation is not coming back into the game, don't give us back Desperation cards. Just take it off of Sword Get Longer or Mop Strike, you know, and I would have been cool with that. But I'm also not a retro player, so I understand the opinions of the retro player. They want to play with their old cards. But for me personally, it bothers me that Desperation came back, but Hiei doesn't. None of his kit has Desperation on it. The kit instead says if you're at like 10 or less health. That's a little too aggressive. You're a 29 health character, and you have to be all the way down to 10 or less for these things to be good. His 2-check, I don't think needed a 2-check. His 2-check attack, I think it could have been fine as a 3-check. Yeah, he's like a 6-hander, 20 health character, but he also says that your opponent has 1 less card in hand, which is interesting. But on Void, I just think Bakugo 4 is going to be doing that better than Hiei. I like him with like Punisher's Beam, Tornado Fist. Like Tornado Fist, they either have to block twice or you're going to be getting 2 momentum. I like those kind of things. I want him to be good, but I think he's just fine. Jin is just going to rock it up here. Jin is meta. Jin, when the day Jin got revealed, if you are on like the Universus discussion community group on Facebook, I posted a like meme on there of the guy that with like his like mug, and it says "Change my mind." And I put, Jin is the best character in the game. Change my mind. And that was just after looking at this character for like 10 minutes. You just read him and it's like, at response speed, we're giving +2 or -2 speed. And a good chunk of the time, +3 or -3 speed. And then he can cancel something. He just feels crazy. There is no way he's not meta. There's no way he's not a top 10 character in the game. I understand that he's a little more control focused and he's a 6-hander instead of a 7-hander. I like my control characters to be 7-handers. Shigaraki 3, Eraserhead 1, Shoto Todoroki 1. Hawks to some extent is an 8-hander and plays control pretty well. Jin is an honest 6-hander. So you're probably going to be wanting to play things to draw cards so that you can take control of the game. But that's crazy. You get the +3 or -3 pretty often. It's just if you mill an attack, if you mill 1, that's not a cost at all. Yeah, I think he's cracked. I think he's good under all of his symbols. I've already built decks on all 3 of his symbols. I'm leaning that he's probably best on life. My first impression was that Void was the way to go to get the flash attacks because Gently Theft is just incredible in this character. 6 speed, 8 damage, flash move, catch, or 7 speed, 8 damage. If they go into Deadlock, they're going to basically be discarding 2 cards now when you play it. I think he's going to be very, very strong. But he's not adding damage, and he's a 6-hander, and he does take a little bit of time. There's some things holding him back, but there's no way he's not meta. Karasu goes into the strong category. Some people might think I'm a little too high on this character, but I think he is the most aggro character in the set by far. He's just going to blow people up. And he really benefits from all of the ways this set gets to get momentum quickly and to play echo attacks. Yu Yu Hakusho is coming in with like, we're getting like 7 echo attacks, and a lot of them, like double fists, are good, even if like that one just gets you a free momentum. So it's basically a free echo. Trace Eyes is a free echo since you just destroy a ready foundation, which benefits him even more. This guy, once he gets rolling, pretty soon he's adding 7 damage, 8 damage on these attacks, and you can't block anymore, and he just explodes you. And he's also a 7-hander, and he's going to be keeping both him and his rival at about that 6 foundation mark, and so he can express quite a bit of control over the game state. But he is very fragile. He's kind of like a glass cannon in that sense. Okay, Kurama, 7-hander, 20 health. We are going to put him in the meta tier. And this is the character I was going back and forth with if Byakko should be meta or if Kurama should be meta. I ended up going with Kurama. I think clogging your rival's card pool on every single attack and being a 7-hander is crazy. He's going to feel pretty oppressive to play against. He does suffer a little bit in that we got a lot of damage reduction cards, and so a lot of people won't really need to be blocking because they can just reduce the damage, and so the card pool clogging might not feel great in that sense. And he doesn't get Tongue Whip anymore since Tongue Whip is rotating. Tongue Whip would have been crazy. He gets his SR, but his SR is not nearly as strong as Tongue Whip. It's still very strong, but it's not nearly Tongue Whip level. But he also gets this response. He's a 3-diff, by the way. So if you build another character, he can just remove an attack from the game, right? Or discard it from the card pool. Something like that. Like they play an attack, you commit and discard a character in your stage, or you remove it, and then you remove the attack that your rival played, or you discard it. I can't remember the discard or remove thing, but basically you're just going to abort a rival attack if you have a character in stage, and you're a 7-hander, and you're on some pretty defensive symbols, like he gets the water symbol. I think he's going to be meta. Momotaro is going to go in the nah tier. I think this guy is just outclassed by Amajiki in every way. I would just rather play Amajiki, and that's why he's in the nah tier for me. It's interesting. You start the game with a momentum. If you play, you're going to give 3 stats on something if it matches one of your momentum. And then if your rival plays a second copy of an attack, it gets -5 damage. There's way too many ifs in this character. If I have a face-up momentum of this attack, I get something. If my rival plays their second copy of an attack this turn, I get something. And he's a 6-hander, 27 health. He's just not it for me. I'm probably never going to play him. Kuwabara. When Kuwabara first came out, and I was giving like snap grades on Twitter, and I was, giving snap grades for every card in a character's kit, I thought Kuwabara was terrible. I gave him my lowest snap grade of anybody in the set. That is how I felt about him when he first came out. And then I got to deck building, and I built this Earth list for him. And then I played it, and it felt incredible. And I have done a 180 on this character. I think he's in the strong tier. I think he's going to be all over the format. A lot of people are going to enjoy playing him and his play style. When you're going to a tournament, you're going to need to be ready for your Kuwabara matchup. He's easily in my top 6 characters. I think he's quite strong. I don't think he's necessarily meta, but if he hits you, he gets to free build something from his discard. So he can free build, for example, like New Training Method, something that shares 2 symbols with him. So he can free build like New Training Method, build from his hand. When he checks a foundation, commits and flips New Training Method, picks that foundation up. Then he gets to play that foundation as a form. So based on that one build, he's now built 3. Then he gets like Sword Get Longer to build 3. Whenever I play Kuwabara, I'm at like 15 foundations by turn 3. He just turbo builds his stage out. Once he has this huge stage, he gets all this damage reduction on face. On Earth, he gets access to Bowie's kit, where he gets like Weapon Clash and that one that says flip something for -2 damage. Pretty soon, like by turn 4, you're like, yeah, I have -40 damage in my stage. Good luck. I'll block 1 or 2 things, and then I'll just reduce the damage of everything else. And then he just waits to backswing you. Because if you disrespect him at all, he's going to be building a foundation on every single attack he plays. I think his secret rare really pushed him to the strong tier. I think I would have just put him down here without his secret rare. But the secret rare that says commit 1, it gets +2 damage, repeatable any number of times, and it has EX2. I think that's exactly what he needed, because he can struggle to apply pressure if he's at full health. I had a teammate bail me out the other day. They were playing Water Kurama and I was playing Earth Kuwabara, and they just milled me because I was at like full health. So I wasn't adding 3 damage to anything. They were just damage reducing things. I could never hit, and they just sat back and watched me mill myself out. And that was excruciating. That was before the SR was revealed. And I think the SR gives him a little bit extra oomph that he needs even when he's not at 15 or less health. But I think he's very, very good. Rinku, the character I got to reveal. I said it when I revealed him. I think this character just screams fun to me. And that's where I'm going to put him. He goes into the fun tier. You're adding this speed. You're building up to some massive dunk attack. You're getting free momentum. You're a 7-hander. All of that screams fun. I don't think he's going to be like a major character in tournaments. I don't think he's bad. If you want to have a fun time in the game, play Rinku. I can't remember this guy's name. Shishi Wakamoto? Yeah, Shishi Wakamoto. I probably butchered the pronunciation of that. I'm sorry, guys. But 7-hander, 21 health, also screams fun to me. He's going to be putting a card in his hand to his momentum. He can then commit and discard a momentum to make something automatically pass. He gets this big, silly 2-check, 7 difficulty echo attack. Yeah, everything about this character seems fun. I don't think he's going to be majorly competitive. We are on our last 4 here. This has been flying by. Suzuki. I think we're going to go 3 for 3 in the fun tier in a row. Suzuki, not adding stats in any sort of way, but kind of like a 7 or an 8-hander with 27 health, because he can commit to block with the top card of his discard pile. So if he does that twice, he was an 8-hander. He gets to filter his hand by discarding a card, drawing a card, discarding, drawing, discarding, drawing. There is nothing more fun in this game than drawing cards. And Suzuki is going to draw a billion cards. And you're always going to be finding the hand traps that you need, the attacks that you need. He seems like a lot of fun to play, but it's hard for me to put these characters that aren't adding stats all the way up here. Like, all of these characters are adding some major stats in some way. Byaku's like +4 or +3 to 5 damage on everything, and I'm flipping 1. Jin is like 2 speed or -2 speed, clogging your card pool. He's going to be adding tons of damage to everything. Kuwabara gets 3 damage, gets to build. He also gets all this damage reduction. Like, they're all doing things with stats. It's hard for me to put a character. He reminds me a lot of like Asui 3, where, listen, I know Tam went 5-1 with Asui 3 and almost made Worlds in the last chance qualifier. Lost out because of tiebreakers. But he had also played that character for like hundreds of hours and was in love with that character. And I think when a great player pours their time and effort into a character, they're going to succeed with them. But we didn't see anybody else really do anything with Asui 3, even though everybody was putting Asui 3 super high in their tier lists. Like, go back and watch the early tier lists from other content creators, and you'll see what I'm saying. They were all putting Asui 3 really high, and she did nothing throughout the competitive season. So I think Suzuki could kind of be like that. I could see a lot of people overrating this character. In the end, I think he's just fun. Toya is going to go here in the fine category. Toya, I don't know. I've seen a lot of discussion on Facebook about if they misspelled this character's name or not, because it's an extended O sound in Japanese. Okay, 720 health. You get to commit. Like, whenever you block, your rival commits a foundation. That seems good, especially as a 7-hander. You can give like once per turn minus speed or plus speed. But the character's not... Okay, so if things go well, you got to commit 2 things on your rival's turn. That's nice. But you're not doing anything crazy. Like, Karasu is doing something crazy. He's going to be adding like 8, 9, 10 damage on his final things. Kurama is going to have like 7 cards in his rival's card pool by the time he's done with his attack string. These are 7-handers with like crazy abilities. And this character just feels, well, she feels fine. Younger Toguro is straight to meta. There's no question about that. I don't know. I said Jin might be the best character in the game, but that was because I hadn't seen Younger yet. Younger could very easily be the best in the game. 6-hander with 32 health. I have no idea why they gave this character 32 health. They gave him 5 hand-size character health and he's so good. He gets to give damage based on half the number of foundations he has. And there's no maximum there. So if he builds to like some massive stage, he can be giving everything +6, +7 damage. And he ignores progressive. He's going to build something down. And he can force you into deadlock so that he can use these really cool deadlock things like focused attack, vial seizing, what's that like 4-diff weapon? Piercing needle. He gets all of these really cool deadlock abilities, and he can force you into deadlock. Oh, he gets his ultra rare, of course, that just commits his rival's character. He gets so many incredible tools. I am amazed that he's not like 27 health. And then he gets access to some cards like Reconstructed Wrecker, where he can play something from his as a foundation. I'm not sure if that's actually good, but it's what we have now that Hardened Jab is gone. So Yusuke, anyway, this guy I think is going to be good on all of his symbols. He's death, all, and evil. All draws a billion cards. Evil got a lot of interesting cards this set. Death, I have initially built a death list for him because of Twisting Azure Inferno, because he gets to, as long as he has 6 foundations, say, hey, Twisting Azure is at 7 damage. It's not going to count towards progressive. I'm going to build it down. Not only did I just clear my card pool, but all of my checks get +1. That's just unfair, is how it feels. Also, Death gets access to like Tray Size, the Echo move that you can just destroy your ready to play again. And then you're going to be slamming damage on it. So it's going to be like 4 low 8, 4 low 8, play it again. You already cleared your card pool, twisting. Like this guy's just going to feel, he's going to feel crazy. Yusuke goes in the good tier. He could have been strong or even like meta, depending on the kit that they gave him. He got some really good things in his kit. He really benefits from Genkai and her kit, but he's just not quite there. Like I love his ultra rare 5-diff attack that does an echo and your rival's block modifiers get -1. That's very good. I love Genkai's absorbed energy, spirit, strike, something like that. 4-diff, it's going to discard a rival momentum and then it gets some damage. Or if you block with it, you get to flip the card and get a momentum. That's very good. But that's kind of where it ends for Yusuke in terms of like good spirit attacks to go grab. I really thought they were going to give him like Spirit Gun in the standard reprints, but they reprinted it for retro. And he doesn't really have, beyond Genkai's ultra rare, he doesn't really have 4 difficulty attacks with spirit in it that are good. He gets like that Breaker 2 one. But just think about how much worse it is than Ice Storm. And I know people are going to get on to me. Well, you can't compare to Set 1. Set 1 was created in a different era. Get out of here. I am anyway. Okay, it's a blank Breaker 2, 3 high 5. Ice Storm was a Breaker 2, 4 low 4, powerful 3, deadlock ability, and it said it couldn't be blocked by attack cards, and it was a mid block, which is infinitely better than a low block when it comes to Breaker 2. When you're playing a Breaker 2, a lot of times you don't care if you're full blocking or half blocking. You're playing it to get the Breaker 2. And in this time where all of these great attacks are high attacks, having the Breaker 2 be on a low block feels bad. If you think about the other spirit cards, he gets this kind of incredible 6 difficulty one, like Spirit Gun Mega or something, but it checks a 2. And it's doing use case thing like double. The whole like discard something and get something from your discard pile. So he gets access to some of the best foundations in the game. He gets access to that one that says like commit -2 speed or -3 speed if your character's committed. He gets that like 1-diff that flips to draw a card. Only playable if you've discarded a card this turn, something like that. Like he gets to play both of those really, really well. He gets Genkai's foundation, I'm Old Yusuke, which is just crazy. Destroyed, add a card with spirit in its name to your momentum. That card's kind of crazy. So he get like the foundation wise, I really like the kit that he got foundation wise. But on the attacks, it's just lacking a little something. And that's going to keep him down here in the good category. He has a 22 health 7-hander that plays from his discard. It's hard for him. I mean, you can have times where you don't draw an attack and you get to play 5 attacks. Let's say you completely blank, but you have an Urameshi's Perseverance. Well, then you'll go grab a Spirit Gun Mega. Play your Spirit Gun Mega, go grab a double spirit strike, whatever that his ultra rare is called. Play that, echo it. You're going to echo it because you get to use I'm old Yusuke to put your mega spirit gun in your momentum. Use Yusuke to go grab another one, echo that one. Like he's never going to just blank on his draw, right? Which is something. But I think he needed like I think he's one attack away from really being quite good. I think I'm beating a dead horse at this point. This is my Yu Yu Hakusho character tier list. Set it in stone. I've had a few weeks to think about this, consider their kits. Now we have all the cards out, and I feel pretty confident that these 6 characters are going to be the best in standard from Yu Yu Hakusho. These 9 characters are not bad, but they're just not quite there. These 3, I think, maybe could be there with very skilled pilots. And then we have the not category of just characters that I will never play. I will never build decks for. Maybe I'm saying that too early. Maybe someday I will and then end up really enjoying these. It's just here I'd rather play Amajiki. I'd rather just play Deku if I want to be drawing on my opponent's turn. You got to get some better abilities if you want me to play a 25 health 6-hander. That's kind of where I'm at with that. So that's going to do it for me. I have a lot of content coming out in this next week. I'm going to be talking about the best spam foundations. We're going to be talking about the best ultra rares, secret rares, the like top 10 sleepers in the set. Tomorrow, I think I'm going to upload a recap of the HLC. I'm sure everybody's wondering how I did there. If I had done well, you would have known about it. I did not do well, spoiler alert, but I'll talk about that in a little bit. I also think I'm going to be announcing a MHA farewell tournament. You're not going to want to miss that. That'll probably be for next Saturday, but I'll announce that tomorrow. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me. I'll see you next time.